I wanted to do an animated episode forever, and there are certain things that are just the realities of production that you can't afford to do because they're outside of your budget or outside of your sets, and an animated show is hugely expensive and really time-consuming. I mean, like an episode of The Simpsons takes about 9 months to make, and that's a half an hour, and it's one animation style, and they've approved everything. They have all their drawings and their characters and stuff, and we had to make that episode basically from design to delivery in 5 months, with 4 different animation styles, approvals on all of them, shooting it, editing it, making it, and Curious Pictures and Row Rao who did that. It was actually, impossible, but they did a great job. So.
What do you think was the worst disaster you guys ever caused on the show Eureka?
Yeah, what do you think?
It's got to be one of the ending life on Earth as we know. It's got to be a time, right? Like a
I would say the
thing.
once in a lifetime season 1 finale, where
the
timeline shifts and everything's going to unravel at that point, unless Carter goes back and changes Henry's or Kim's fate. I think that.
Yeah.
What's that called? What episode is that? What's it called?
High Life.
Once in a lifetime.
There's a deleted scene where Cafe Diem runs out of milk.
If you could meet anywhere in the world, who would it be?
If what?
If you could meet anywhere in the world, who would it be?
Oh, if I could meet anyone?
I just got to meet William Shatner. Amazing. Last time I was here, I got to meet Stan Lee. I mean, Felix has been very good to me. That's how he came on the show. I was going to have William Shatner on the show next season, too. I was going to have him, I'll tell you guys this. I wanted an episode where William Shatner showed up and he was Carter's dad. And this was like the U.S. Marshal.
Who was from Montreal, maybe he is.
Actually, there's a likeness. There's a similarity.
There's a little bit of life imitating art.
So, Bill, now that we've met each other, you have to come and do the Eureka movie as Colin's dad.
Noam Chomsky, maybe who I'd like to meet. Maybe.
I met Noam Chomsky.
You did?
Yeah, I used to moderate panels for Cambridge Forum in our life in Cambridge when my wife was there. I was getting a doctorate degree and I got to do a panel with Noam Chomsky.
Wow.
And Howard Zinn, too, that was awesome.
Yeah. I met him at your house. Yeah.
You were at my house for that event?
Yeah.
I didn't know you.
Yeah, you did.
I did?
She had a little drink that night.
Very memorable.
So I threw my back out because I had to sit through like 8 productions of Little Shop of Horrors that my children were in, and they were not the best productions ever. And Paul Haggis asked me to like host that for him, and it was kind of a crazy weekend. I'm so glad you were there. Was it fun?
It was lovely. You were lovely.
I'm glad. Was the food good?
It was great. It was lovely.
Oh, yeah, I'm so happy. Oh my God.
And next question.
This question is for all of you. For you guys as actors, because most of you are pretty main parts in the show, I was wondering what key suggestions you had for memorizing all those lines.
Yeah, Sally. What?
Take it away, Sally.
What would you do?
Oh my gosh. I had probably the hardest time. You had a lot of tech talk too when you came on. But besides, so I'm a doctor. I was a DoD agent for a while. I ran Global Dynamics. All of a sudden, after running Global, I was a scientist, obviously.
Duh.
Because, so I had I had so much dialogue, and I think it was, I always figure I know my dialogue if I can say it without anyone else's lines in between. And I'm walking around my house, if I can do the laundry while saying the lines. And then still, because of the hard tech talk that some people would continually write for me for some reason, when there was absolutely no reason for that.
Do you remember the day that Jamie wrote that really long speech just to mess with you that wasn't even in the...
That's how much they know that, and then I put stress on myself, because if if you're not remembering it, then you're holding up the whole crew, and then it's more pressure. But yeah, he sends it. He doesn't bring it. He has the one of the ADs, come in and bring it and go, yeah, there's some new lines, and it's like a pain of just. And I'm like, oh my god, there's no, oh my god, I have 20, there's no way. And then as you go down the line, you're going, hey, none of these aren't words. So I think that, and Colin, who's actually, smart and knows all this science stuff, never does any of that stuff.
All I have to do is go, what?
As an actor, I think you have a responsibility to understand what the writers have put down on the page, and it is our job to. When I say understand what's been put down on the page, what I mean is a writer is telling a very clear story, and it's the actor's responsibility to attach the right intention to each beat in a scene. And when, as an actor, you understand what each piece is about and what everybody is doing, then it becomes very natural, and it becomes a very natural conversation. When you know what your character wants out of a scene, or why your character is trying to stop the other character from getting what they want in the scene, everything makes sense. When I work on Big Bang Theory, they describe it as the music of the scene. And if you were listening to a song and all of a sudden something came out that just didn't fit there at all, then it would throw you out of the scene. And it wouldn't make sense. And if we ever ran into trouble on Eureka, it would be because something, maybe got held over from an older revision, or somebody didn't understand what was going on in the scene. And we would get to that point, and it was like, well, we were playing this great rock-steady ska song, and now we're playing death metal. This isn't right. So when things make sense and you do your homework and just understand what it is you're doing, then you get to it.
Okay, so what are you saying?
I'm not talking about
saying that I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand what I'm saying.
Technical dialogue is different. Technical dialogue is something that someone made up that doesn't mean anything at all, and it generally doesn't have a real strong emotional connection to the scene, and it doesn't have a real strong emotional connection to the character. So unless you are like a super nerd, which I'm fairly certain Sally is not, then it's just like, it's stuff that just doesn't have any inherent meaning.
Joe Morton would always say, well, Henry, he would always say, well, did you look that up? Did you? I said, I've got 20, no. I got 8 pages. I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. I kind of have an idea what this scene is about, and I'm pretty sure it sounds like I know what I'm talking about.
Which is why she got so mad at me when I wrote that monologue, because I actually had it make sense for about the first 2/3, and it was like a whole page. So it's yeah, we got to deal with this diode. We got to put that in there, and the uniformitarianism of the situation, and then that to the power of 11. And she's like, wait a minute, that's not a word. She called me up and was so mad at me. Next.
How do you get along with the show, Eureka?
How do we get along?
Yeah.
Just like this.
Just what makes you friends?
It's like a family.
Yeah, it's like a family. I think, like a family, there's all sorts of I talked about this yesterday, I think in a panel, Louis, you were there. Everybody has flaws and things that they don't do well and things that drive everybody crazy. And the great thing about a show is when you're locked working 16 hours a day, you get to see everybody at their best, and you get to see them at their worst. And it's in accepting them when they're at their worst that you actually are able to accept yourself at your worst. And that's when the family really becomes tight, when you understand what everybody is, and you're like, yeah, and yet you know what, we got our day done. and we make it through everything. There's a huge pride in that. And that's what works for me.
Colin, that was beautiful, and now I remember you at the house.
I mean, these guys, especially when you're shooting on set, the writers spend 10 hours a day with each other, but when you're on set, the cast and the crew and the producers, that's 14, 16 hours between hair and makeup when you start shooting. And you spend more time with them than with our families a lot. So ideally, people do get along, and this has been an amazing group they have.
Hello, my name is Deborah. I was wondering, you come here and we all ask you a bunch of questions about what you do and what you like and what you've done. If you had questions for any of us, if you're ever curious about us, what would you ask the fans who come to see
The
you?
gentleman in the 8th row, I've actually been thinking about this.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's the heart of it is to get to know people, you know, in a forum like this, but you try to take your opportunity when you do meet people and get to know them a little bit. So it's sort of site-specific for me. You know, do I have a generic question? I wish I did. Like the.
I do. I'd like to know. You were supposed to bring me an IPA, and it hasn't arrived yet. And I'm just wondering where it is.
Me?
Oh, now I've done it. I've unleashed the hounds.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think I like what's been an amazing experience, I think, and I had one today actually with Bucks right here, when I was talking about earlier with Harmony, is that hearing what the show has actually meant to people. That, you know, they have a tradition of watching father and daughter together, and it happened at sort of a really dark time in their life when their house had burned down, and it was a bonding experience. And I've had a lot of people who have told me, this is a show I get to watch with my daughter and my dad, and you know, you get multiple generations of family. And we don't really have a lot of family shows anymore. So it wasn't by any real intention of ours to create one, but it kind of evolved into that. And if it's touched any of you guys and made you closer to your own families in some small way, then that's the best thing ever.
And today I met a woman who served in Iraq, and she watched Eureka on the plane from Los Angeles to Baghdad and continued watching Eureka in Baghdad, and it made her 10-month tour there so much better. And that's what it's all about. So thank you for creating the show. Thank you.
Thank you guys, seriously, for keeping us around. It's been an amazing gift. It's just such a privilege to get to do what we do, and we can't do it without you guys, so thanks.
I just wanted to know, how do you feel that you were like your characters on Eureka, and how are you going to feel leaving them behind when the show's over?
What I love most is, you know, you do a character for years and years and years, you get really comfortable in that character's skin, and that level of familiarity is something that you don't get when you go on to your next role. You insist on it in your heart, so that's what I get to bring with me from the character. Is I'll never again want to do something that doesn't feel really, really true, because ultimately you become your character in a lot of different ways. You sort of feel what it's like to really know the character. So that's what I'll.
I think Allison has become mirrors my life a lot. I have a son and a daughter. I feel that Allison we're very much alike, sort of strong, and I've become more gentle and tender through the years. That usually was my note the first few years. Can you just be a little softer? And just had a lot of edge. And you know, I think that, you know, having to have a love life and children and run a company, it's pretty much kind of like my life. So I thought that Allison was really close to who I am. Oh, same with Beverly. I kidnap people. I make poisonous teas. But she has better hair and a much better walk than I do.
It's a lot of fun to be Dr. Parrish because he's such a jerk. And you know, for me having to justify why he's a jerk, you know, just to come up with reasons that that's normal and okay for him, that he really thinks he's the smartest person in the room, and why can't everyone else just understand that and listen to him? And that is the polar opposite from me. If I ever find myself in a room where I feel like I'm the smartest or near the smartest, I get into a new room because it's the only way that you keep learning. It's the only way that you keep changing and growing. And you know, I have dedicated much of the last 5 years of my life to telling people to be awesome and be honorable, be honest, and don't be crappy to people. And that's not Dr. Parrish at all. Dr. Parrish is just like, do whatever it takes to get to the top. Because why, Dr. Parrish? Because then you're the top, stupid. So I will miss playing him because it was fun to be sort of like a real life troll. But I'm hopeful that whatever comes along next, that maybe it's a character who you don't really love to hate, like most of the things I've done for the last few years.
Thank you.
We've got time for about one more.
Hi, I'm Allie. I met you guys yesterday.
Hey.
Hi. So I was really curious. Other than your characters, what other characters do you guys like and why? Like, not you at all. Like, not your character. Who else?
You mean like on the show?
Yeah.
Right. Probably Fargo. I mean, that's... Fargo! Yeah. I mean, he's so fun. He's such an idiot. You know, and Neil plays him just with this sort of emotional abandon, which I think is really admirable. And so and probably Goche, Vincent. I think he plays that character, which could be it could be such a wallflower of a character, and he plays it with such integrity every time he comes in that I sort of tip my hat to his acting ability.
I love Kevin as Deputy Andy.
Yeah.
I absolutely love him, and Kevin is such an awesome person to be around on the set, and he's so much fun that he really embodies that goodness that Andy has, and I love watching him work.
And he was so terrifying in the opening of the season. Did you guys see him? Like, he's scary. Matrix Ian.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, let's give it up for the cast of Eureka. Where they'll be signing autographs and answering questions and talking to folks. So if you want to head there. Immediately following this, we are also going to welcome up the folks from the Ultimate Geek Showdown too. To,
turn this off.
more about that. So